Q4086. What are the minimum weather conditions that must be forecast to list an airport as an alternate when the airport has no approved IAP? A. The ceiling and visibility at ETA 2,000 feet and 3 miles, respectively. B. The ceiling and visibility from 2 hours before until 2 hours after ETA 2,000 feet and 3 miles, respectively. C. The ceiling and visibility at ETA must allow descent from MEA, approach, and landing, under basic VFR. The correct answer is C. The minimum weather conditions that must be forecast to list an airport as an alternate when the airport has no approved instrument approach procedure, IAP, are: the ceiling and visibility at ETA must allow descent from the minimum en route altitude, MEA, approach, and landing, under basic visual flight rules, VFR. In this scenario, the weather conditions at the ETA, estimated time of arrival, must be such that the aircraft can safely descend from the MEA, execute the approach, and land using basic VFR procedures. There is no specific ceiling and visibility requirement given, as it depends on the specific aircraft performance and pilot's capabilities to conduct the approach and landing safely. 4719. When a pilot elects to proceed to the selected alternate airport, which minimums apply for landing at the alternate? A. 600 to 1 if the airport has an ILS. B. Ceiling 200 feet above the published minimum, visibility 2 miles. C. The landing minimums for the approach to be used. The correct answer is C. When the pilot decides to divert to the alternate airport, they will typically follow an instrument approach procedure to land at the alternate airport. The specific approach procedure and its associated landing minimums will determine the required ceiling and visibility for the landing at the alternate. The pilot must adhere to the published minimums for the selected approach procedure in order to safely land at the alternate airport. 4630. If a pilot elects to proceed to the selected alternate, the landing minimums used at that airport should be the A. Minimums specified for the approach procedure selected. B. Alternate minimums shown on the approach chart. C. Minimums shown for that airport in a separate listing of IF are alternate minimums. The correct answer is A. When proceeding to the selected alternate airport, the pilot will typically follow an instrument approach procedure to execute a safe landing. The approach procedure will have specified landing minimums, which are published values for ceiling and visibility that must be met in order to proceed with the approach and landing. The pilot should adhere to the landing minimums specified for the approach procedure they have selected for the alternate airport. 4697. When making an instrument approach at the selected alternate airport, what landing minimums apply? A. Standard alternate minimums, 600 to 2 or 800 to 2 dash. B. The IF are alternate minimums listed for that airport. C. The landing minimums published for the type of procedure selected. The correct answer is C. When conducting an instrument approach at the selected alternate airport, the pilot should refer to the approach procedure for that specific airport. The approach procedure will provide the published landing minimums, which specify the required visibility and ceiling for a safe landing. The pilot should adhere to these landing minimums specified in the approach procedure selected for the type of approach they are conducting at the alternate airport. 4769. An airport without an authorized IAP may be included on an IF or flight plan as an alternate if the current weather forecast indicates that the ceiling and visibility at the ETA will A. Allow for descent from the IAF to landing under basic VF or conditions. B. Be at least 1,000 feet and 1 mile. C. Allow for a descent from the MEA, approach, and a landing under basic VF or conditions. The correct answer is C. When considering an airport without an authorized instrument approach procedure, IAP. As an alternate on an IF or flight plan, the weather forecast must allow for a descent from the minimum en route altitude, MEA, approach, and a landing under basic visual flight rules, VFR, conditions. The specific ceiling and visibility requirements may vary, but the forecasted conditions should be sufficient for a safe descent, approach, and landing using visual references. It is important to ensure that the weather conditions at the ETA are suitable for these operations to maintain safety during the approach and landing at the alternate airport.